Hello, welcome to my colouring tutorial. My name's Michelle Tracy and today I'll be showing you how to colour in a face using Copic markers. I'll be working from my colouring book called Spirit and Fantasy. As you can see, it's a grayscale edition. Using E00 Cotton Pearl, I begin by laying down the foundation layer, and I'm using the broader end because that allows me to work much quicker and cover a large area. Copic markers can be quite tricky. You've got to work really quickly because the colours do blend wet on wet. So you want the colours to be wet before you apply the next layer. So just cover that whole area of the face. The only area I'm going to leave white is above the eyes and a bit on just the edge there. So I'm now just going in and darkening up over the shadowed areas. So just follow the grayscale shadows and just mark those in. As you can see, I am using the finer tip now because I'm just doing the smaller areas. Don't worry that it's looking a bit streaky still, because I am going to apply an additional layer later on and it'll just bring it all together and create a smoother blend. And I'm just re-wetting those shadowed areas because I'm about to apply the pink, which is called R20 Blush. And I'm alternating between the first coat of E00 and the pink because it just helps to blend it into that background. And again, I'm going back to that E00 because that helps blend it into that layer, the first layer that I'd put down. It can help if you re-wet the paper with the E00 before you apply the pink layer. That just helps to give it a softer blend. I'm using a lot of pink on that side of the face because it is the cheek and it is in the shadow area, so I want it to be a bit darker there. Now I'm using pink on top of that E00, and again I've switched back. I would recommend practicing first because this technique with Copic markers can take a bit of getting used to. Remember the eyebrows as well, so use the E00 on that and then a little bit of pink on top. Now I'm adding this second coat, so this will just combine all the pink into the yellowy colour and just blend it all. So just working really quickly to avoid the streaks forming. I'm using that broad tip as well. So I'm now using the E09 to darken up around the eyes. You can see that I did apply a first coat of R20, the pink, and I just felt that it needed a bit more blending, so I've added the E00 again. wet it with the pink, and then come in with the Burnt Sienna E09. The pink, use the pink again to blend it in, and then I'm using the E00 Cotton Pearl just to blend it into the first layer, so you can see how that just softened it. Now with the lips, just apply the pink to the entire area of the lips. And then with a red, I'm using R27 Cadmium Red. And I'm just applying this over those grey shadow areas. You just need to follow the grayscale image. That's why grayscale's really good, because the shadow's already there. The shading's done for you. You just have to go over the top of it, basically. So don't worry about looking a bit awful at this stage. If you use that pink, it'll just come over and it'll blend it in. I do find I alternate between the two, because you kind of just got to keep re-wetting it, and you just see where you need to come back and go over the shadows to define them more. Now the background is green, so that's why I'm having it reflected on her face. So I'm beginning with the Zinc Yellow, number 1. It's a Derwent Studio pencil, and just a really light layer. Then using the May Green 48, just go over the darker areas. It is best to start light, then you can just build the layers up as you feel you need to. Using the yellow on her cheek, the chin, her nose, then going over a small section of it with the May Green. Now using the Copic marker, I wanted to use this on her eyes. It's very intense. It's a YG01 and it's called Green Bice. And then while that's still wet, use a green on it. And my one that I'm using is called New Leaf, YG23. I'm doing the same thing on this side. It's easier to blend smaller areas because they stay wet. Just using pink Madder Lake number 17. I'm just using pencil because that way I can use light. It can be applied lightly, whereas the Copic markers can be quite intense, and I didn't want that for the green reflection on the skin or on the eyeballs. So here I'm using just a black pencil, and just colouring in the pupils and just a little bit under the eyelid to create a shadow, and also on the eyelashes. Finishing touches is just a white gel pen for the highlight. Both these grayscale editions of my book Spirit and Fantasy are available to purchase from Amazon, and you can also purchase the individual pages as instant downloads from my Etsy store. So you can try out different papers. Maybe a good idea to print onto a Copic marker paper, that way the blending capabilities are easier for you. I'll provide all the links in the description below, so I really hope this has helped, and thanks for watching.